Hey friends, happy Sunday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. I've got some really good meals to share with you this week. We tried a few new things and we really enjoyed them, so I'm excited to share that with you. If you are new here, hello, welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to give you some new meal ideas, hopefully, and also to hopefully motivate you to cook more for your family. I started doing these videos back in 2018 to motivate myself to cook more for my family, and I've been putting up these videos almost every single week since then. So I've got a whole playlist down below. If that interests you, you can go down there and find that, and it'll be like all the meal ideas you could ever want. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night, I tried a new recipe called Skillet Dirty Rice and Beans. I feel like the name of it is a little misleading. It's definitely nothing like a dirty rice, in my opinion. I feel like it's more like a red beans and rice, but it's not even that. Really, it's just like a Cajun flavored rice and beans, and it's made in one skillet, which makes it super quick and easy. So I'm starting off by heating up 1 tablespoon of olive oil in a skillet over medium heat, and then once that was hot, I added in a bunch of minced garlic and a little bit of onion. I only did about half of an onion. We like onion, but we don't like a lot of onion, so I don't usually include as much as the recipes call for. And then I let the onions and garlic cook for about 5 minutes so that they started to soften. And then once that onion was softened, I added in my sausage. This is one like beef sausage link, and I cut it up into little like coin sizes and then cut them in half. It said you wanted to be about the size of kidney beans, so that's what I did. And then I also added in my seasoning. So for that, I did a teaspoon of some Cajun seasoning, some smoked paprika, chili powder, garlic powder, and onion powder, and a pinch of red pepper flakes. The recipe that I am following will be linked in the description box, so you can go there to find all of the exact measurements. So I gave that a stir to make sure I got the sausage and onions coated with all of those seasonings. And then I stirred in my uncooked white rice. I did 1 cup. And then I started adding in my chicken broth and my tomatoes. So you're going to need 1.5 cups of chicken broth. I like to use water and Knorr chicken bouillon. And then 1 14.5 ounce can of diced tomatoes. I did petite diced tomatoes. And then I did change a little bit about this recipe. It wanted you to save your can of kidney beans till the end and then just stir them in at the end. I didn't really understand why. I went ahead and added the beans. So I added in 1 can of dark red kidney beans that I drained. And then I brought this up to a boil over a medium-high heat. And then once it came to a boil, I let it simmer for just a minute. And then I turned my heat down to low, put a lid on it, and let it cook for 20 minutes without touching it. And then after the 20 minutes, I left the lid on it and just let it sit with the heat turned off for 5 minutes so the rice could finish cooking. And then after that 25 minutes, it was perfectly done. The rice was soft and tender, and I just gave it a good stir and it was ready to eat. We just ate this by itself. You could have served it with a salad or really anything that you wanted, but we just did that. And this was great. We all loved it, and it was quick and easy to put together, and I will definitely make it again. Saturday night, Andy's dad took us out to medieval times. This was the first time any of us had ever been, and it was a lot of fun. It was definitely an experience. So you get there and you've got your plate and your bowl and your cup, and then they come around and bring you soup and garlic bread at first, and then they bring you like half of a chicken, a little small chicken, and then you get like half of a potato. They called it dragon something. The soup was dragon's blood. The corn was dragon's toes. The chicken was like baby dragon. I can't remember what the potato was. Dragon French fries or something. I can't remember. But it was fun. They do not give you utensils to eat with. You're supposed to eat everything with your hand, but they do have utensils if you ask. Elijah didn't want to drink his soup, so I ended up asking for a spoon for that. And then they also gave me a knife. I could cut the corn off of Elijah's cob because he doesn't have any front teeth, and he had a really loose one that night. And so I cut his corn off for him to eat with the spoon. But medieval times was a lot of fun. We all really enjoyed it. Sunday night we had chicken salads. Elijah actually requested this. He loves when he's able to just like build his own salad. So here is mine. We've got bacon, hard-boiled egg. I've got some banana pepper rings, croutons, chicken, cucumbers, tomatoes, and then I did, I think, Italian dressing. Lily doesn't like lettuce, so she had like everything just like but lettuce on her plate, and then Elijah had everything on his plate but like separated so he could kind of build his salad as he wanted to. Monday night we had a crock pot chicken enchilada casserole. This is a twist on a recipe that I already make and love, and if you saw the vlog on Friday you already saw me make this. But in my crock pot, I'm adding 2 chicken breasts, and then I seasoned those with some adobo seasoning, and then I just added in 1 can of green chili enchilada sauce. And then I put the lid on this and let it cook on low for like 4 to 6 hours, just until your chicken is done and you can shred it up. Then once it's done, all you gotta do is go in and shred up that chicken. And once it's all shredded, I'm going to cut up 10 white corn tortillas into strips and then add those into the crock pot along with some cheese. I did probably about a cup of some Mexican blend shredded cheese, and I stirred that in, and then on the top I shredded some Monterey Jack cheese, and then I put the lid back on the crock pot and let this sit for like 10 to 15 minutes so my tortillas could soften and my cheese could get all melty. Typically I make this same recipe with red enchilada sauce, and then I use taco seasoning instead of adobo, and we've loved that recipe for years. And somebody asked me if I have tried my like enchilada bake, that's like a layered bake that goes in the oven with green enchilada sauce, and I haven't done that, but it sparked the idea to try this recipe in the crock pot with the green enchilada sauce, and we all loved it. It was great. I will definitely keep this variation of the recipe like in my mind and my recipe stash. It's definitely a favorite. We love it both ways now, so you'll definitely see this again. I topped it with some cilantro. For some of us, Elijah didn't want any cilantro. And then we just had some chips and guacamole on the side. Tuesday night, we did some simple nachos with chili from the freezer and the Rico's nacho cheese that I keep in the freezer. So I had a bag of each of these in the freezer. I thawed them out in the fridge like all day. I just threw them each in a pot, heated them up for dinner time. So easy. So we like to use scoops for our nachos, and we did a little bit of shredded cheese, then the chili, then the Rico's cheese on top, and Elijah didn't want any toppings, so his was just kind of plain. And then Lily wanted sour cream and the like corn salsa, and then I did sour cream and the like pico salsa. This is a great way to use up leftover chili. We like to do this as well as like chili baked potatoes, chili mac and cheese, but the nachos are definitely one of our favorite ways. Wednesday night, I tried another new recipe, and this one is called Skillet chicken with couscous. So in a bowl, I have some boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I'm going to season them up with some garlic powder, onion salt, paprika, a little bit of salt, and some pepper. And then I just toss those in the seasoning to make sure that they were fully coated. Then I've got my cast iron pan here. You want it to be something that's oven safe because you are going to be transferring this to the oven. So that's why I'm using my big cast iron pan. And I've got it nice and hot. And then to that, I'm adding a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon, and about a tablespoon of butter. And I let that melt. And then I am adding in my chicken thighs. And I'm going to let them cook for about 4 minutes per side. We're just going to get a nice, good sear on each side. They do not have to be fully cooked, since, as I said, this is going to be going in the oven to finish cooking it all the way through. After they cooked for 4 minutes per side, then I removed them from the pan, and to my cast iron skillet, I added just a touch more olive oil, and then I'm adding in a couple cloves of minced garlic, and then my couscous. The recipe called for 1 cup of pearled couscous, but my box had a cup and a half, so I used the whole cup and a half of couscous, so I wouldn't just be left with half a cup left over, and I just used some extra chicken broth to make sure that I had enough liquid to cook the couscous. But I do not think that I needed to add more. It ended up being a little bit liquidy, but it still tasted good. So I don't think I needed that extra amount of liquid. I let the garlic and couscous cook for about 2 to 3 minutes till the garlic was fragrant and the couscous was a little bit toasted. And then I added in my chicken broth. So recipe calls for 2 cups. I used 3, and I just added that in a little bit at a time to deglaze the pan, scrape up any bits, and then I added the rest of it in. And then I brought that mixture to a boil. Once it came to a boil, I added my chicken back in, and then I added some slices of lemon and a sprig of rosemary. And then I put this in the oven on 400 degrees for 15 minutes or until your chicken is cooked through. For me, I checked it at 15 minutes and my chicken was perfectly done. It was right at the right temperature. I have a little digital thermometer that I love to use for that. So then I just made a can of green beans to go with this, and it was delicious. Everything about this was so good. The couscous had like really good flavor from the chicken and the bits that you like scraped up from the pan. Excellent. And it was easy and quick. And finally, Thursday night is taco potato casserole. This is a repeat dinner. I have made it once before. It's something that I saw on TikTok and we loved it, so I wanted to make it again. I'm starting off by browning 1 pound of ground beef with some taco seasoning. You're going to end up needing 1 whole packet of taco seasoning, so I used about half of a packet, but I buy the big container of it at Sam's Club. I'm going to go ahead and start browning my ground beef, and then once it's about like halfway cooked through, that's when I like to add in my garlic and my onion. So I added in half of an onion and then a bunch of minced garlic and just let that continue cooking until it was all the way cooked through and my onions were softened. Then in my crock pot, I'm starting to add the rest of the ingredients. So I've got a 2-pound bag of frozen shredded hash browns, 1 can of Rotel, half a cup of sour cream, the rest of the taco seasoning, and then instead of a 10.5-ounce can of cheddar cheese soup, I like to use the Rico's nacho cheese. So I had some of that thawed out and I added that in, and then about 2.5 cups of shredded cheese. And I mix that around, trying to get it mostly mixed all the way through. I find that it's easier to mix it together a little bit at a time and then add the meat in. It was kind of hard the first time to mix everything at once. So doing the potatoes with like the soup and the sour cream and everything first, and then adding in the meat worked out much better, much easier to stir, but you definitely gotta have some arm muscles to really get this mixed together well. So I got all that mixed in, and then I just put a lid on this, and you can cook it on low for 4 hours or high for 2. I did low for 4. At the end of the cook time, all you gotta do is stir it up and serve it. I like to top it with a little bit of pepper, but you can also top this with some salsa, lettuce, sour cream, whatever you want. Anything that works on a taco would work on this. We just kept it simple this night and ate it as it was. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. I hope you got some new meal ideas. If you plan on trying any of the recipes that I mentioned, let me know which ones down in the comments, and make sure you leave me a smiley face emoji down there as well to let me know that you made it here all the way to the end. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you'll have a great week, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye!